let's get this show on the road.
All right.
Well, there we go. There's a good shot of the man cave. I think we got it lit up a little bit. I didn't light the balcony, but it's good. You know where we're at. We're at the man cave. This is my brain. On a Tuesday night rant, I'm Jeremy Scott Gibbs, Taylor Vincent Gibbs, hello, Larry Parsons, and Grandma Connie. We're going to be joined by Kelli Uphaus. That's the rumor, according to Larry.
Yeah, she is on her way.
Well,
be here any minute.
Okay.
She just texted me.
All right.
And Tim and Nate are in the house.
Tim and Nate are in the booth. Tanya, Hannah, I don't know if Rob's still wandering around, but there's a few more in the house. Bubby, the grandson. Anyways, this is my brain. This is how we do this. How we looking, guys? How we sounding?
Looking great, sounding great.
Okay.
I'm 5 on the streams.
Excellent.
Hello.
I will. Hello, everybody. Back to table mics, just because there was going to be extra people today, and I was like, do I put one table mic out, or do I want to put out just all the mics, and it's good to go. So that's where we're at. Just, it's the way it is. Whatever. Suck it up and leave it alone. Okay. I'm going to check. Nate, what are you monitoring chat-wise, buddy? I didn't check with you before the show started. We're going to do this live and on the air.
Anything restream.
Okay. All right, so we'll do that. I love how Restream is currently telling me there's no internet, giving me the little dinosaur, while I see us live on the screen next to it. It's all good.
Getting mixed messages there, or what?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a...
A little bit of a mixed message.
Mr. Graham has already liked...
Mixed messages there?
Oh, there we go.
What?
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah. That's one thing about the Facebook is as soon as you click on the video, it goes... The sound goes live. Sounding good. Video's good. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you, buddy.
Don't do it, Jeff.
Don't you fucking do it, Jeff. Don't you do it.
Jeff. I love that.
Dude.
I've used it more than once, Jeff, when you weren't around or weren't listening.
Don't you do it, Jeff. Don't you fucking do it.
Don't do it, Jeff. Don't fucking do it.
That's right. That's right.
You know what's even more? Bubby was on the job site yesterday. Was it yesterday?
It was either yesterday or today. We've only been down there 2 days.
That's right.
And he said, somebody said something, and he looked over at him and he goes, "Don't you do it, Jeff. Don't you do it." On the job. The guys are looking at us.
Yes, that's wonderful.
The guys are looking at us going, don't do what? We don't know what you're talking about, man.
I pulled that one out too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wonderful.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Isn't that
wonderful?
Wonderful. Oh, yes.
Shot a nail through the other side. Didn't hit anything.
Isn't that wonderful?
Wonderful. Dinner recap. Well, I grab I just remembered how I could do this properly, and I'm going to look for the cord real quick. Dinner recap. Tim made an excellent 15. We had an awesome Thanksgiving. We haven't been on the show since Thanksgiving. It was an awesome Thanksgiving. And, of course, I was great. It was like a 14-pound turkey, and there was like almost nothing left of the main, breast of it. Tim still cooked down the bones. We've never done that before. Mm-hmm. And made a what do you call that?
Didn't he make like a little casserole?
Chicken
Yeah,
a la
pie.
turkey a la
Yeah,
king pie.
like a casserole.
Yeah, it was
type
great.
Of, yeah.
But the ham was huge too, and there was a good chunk of the ham was still left. But either way, we always try to make a bean soup. Well, we were in Indiana and cooking like that, so Tim jumped on it and made this 15-bean soup for us tonight. It was phenomenal. Larry's going to torture his wife tonight.
I will.
With that.
And I'll blame you.
I will receive the blame and just, say it wasn't my fault.
And I'll just laugh.
Yeah, because we know who you are, dude.
Yeah, we got your number.
We got your number. So there's that. I'm going to look for this cord. How was dinner?
Dinner was awesome. It was a ham bone soup, a 15-bean ham bone soup, and it was prepared by the genius back there behind the screen, the real Tim Allen. And he really outdid himself because that was some good stuff.
Real Tim Allen.
the real Tim Allen.
Oh, you know what we could have done, Tim? We could have had sour cream and a little cheese on it.
Ooh, I did think of that when I was.
Oh, I just thought of it. We could have put that out. I had mine over spinach a little bit. It was really, really tasty. I want to take some home for tomorrow.
We can make that happen.
Fried potato balls.
I didn't know potatoes had, never mind.
Yeah, Larry, leave it alone.
Yeah, but Larry's just thinking of balls.
Larry's
You guys like
just thinking balls.
Meatballs?
Yeah. Gets to the point when you're playing pool and you go, man, I got a lot of balls on the table and everybody loses it, you know? Give it up. It's pool balls.
Pool balls, man. Get over it.
Get
over
over
it.
it.
All right, Larry, when
Yeah.
Kelly
Cutthroat
gets
went on
here,
for
you
an
can
hour
share
the
with
other day.
her.
Huh?
I can share with Kelly.
Right
I
here.
will.
The cutthroat that went on for an hour the other day?
Ah.
Oh, that was so good.
You guys played cutthroat for an hour one
we
game?
did because it
We'd
was
all get down to
5
one
in
ball.
a row.
Yeah.
Somebody
Are we
scratched.
sharing microphones too?
We all shared
No,
in
she's
that
gotta
5
just-
in a row.
So
Scratches.
this will go in
It
here.
was
like this.
There's only one or
hilarious.
two balls left in the pockets.
No, I know. Yeah. How many times were we down to one
Nice.
ball
Look at that.
each?
And somebody scratches.
And we did 5 in a row.
That's
you get all
awesome.
your balls back on the table in 5 turns.
Right? It's almost like a re-rack.
Yeehaw. It was a re-rack. It was amazing.
Harley we whack.
We're like, okay.
we whack.
We laughed every time.
It was a tournament play. I'm
It
gonna work.
was,
I gotta work on the notices. It's a straw from last week.
Right.
Let's just do a couple. Let's do this one. Let's do the. Are we ready for notices? The bean soup was phenomenal.
Yep.
Let's go with number 1, guys. You want to do that one?
Are we ready, guys?
Which one are we running?
Number 1.
Notice. This is my brain. Notice this podcast is raw, unfiltered, and politically incorrect.
Incorrect.
We say Merry Christmas
Yep.
and the Pledge of Allegiance, especially the part about one nation under God. We thank our troops for their services. We only recognize 2 genders.
Do we?
2.
As, 2.
Just
Those.
2.
Yep.
As adults, we enjoy adult beverages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on now. We cuss. We do not curse or swear. We love Jesus, but we hate religion and religious assholes.
It says assholes on our.
I can't help it. It says
It
it.
says it on there.
If this offends you,
Then you can,
please.
please, I said please,
Please.
please, fuck
For
off.
the love of all that is holy.
Goff.
This is my brain.
FK off, okay? It's an acronym.
It's an acronym. Kelly has
I
arrived.
hit Larry on purpose.
She can,
Everybody hits me. That's,
welcome Kelly.
You're a hittable guy.
There's your seat right here. I would have Larry walk you through that microphone, but he has his own problems himself.
Larry does have problems.
just
So-
plug your.
And you can move that
Right into
over
there.
and
That's your microphone.
get you figured out here.
Make sure you put the
Yeah.
dot
Let's
to you. Lean
bring
into
her over
it.
about a foot
Yeah, chair-wise.
chair-wise. There we go.
Yeah,
Otherwise, Tim will
get her closer to Larry. He won't
Yep.
start his
No,
howitzer
no,
until
no.
later.
Too far?
turn it back the way it was.
Oh wait, she might hit me too. I'm already bruised.
It deserves you,
You know,
right.
Larry, I wasn't going to say anything, but it's basically
you go.
it's
She's got
basically
it.
two.
She's got it.
A truth
She's all over
factor.
it.
It's a
He
wrong.
asks for
He asked
it.
for it, and it's a thorn between 2 roses. So just shut up.
Wow, nice.
Okay. Give me a
Nice.
little test
It's
there,
my
Kelly.
testing.
That's pretty good. I'll bring you up a little
Just
bit.
just make sure you step into it, Kelly.
Yes.
All
Do
right.
you want it on ice?
Sure. Yes. Thank you.
Which one are you adjusting? Yeah, if you want to.
Do what you gotta do.
So
What are you
here's
doing?
the
I
agenda.
was gonna do that too, but it's all you.
We're making adjustments. Kelly, give me one more time.
Testing.
Testing. Okay, I got it. You're on number 1.
I need to be over
Let's try a little bit more. All right, so you should be good now. And I'm gonna bring that up over the camera. Okay, well, welcome. This is my brain. You got thrown right in the mix. You didn't even get dinner.
Is your
or-
brain really that big? That's pretty big.
It's superimposed. It's yeah.
Okay.
I do a pretty big brain.
Because Joe Biden's brain isn't that big.
Joe Biden, his brain would fit inside the R. Right there.
Yeah.
He did a Zoom.
He did a Zoom.
I zoomed in. Kelly, did you eat?
No, I have not yet.
Would
but-
you like some bean soup while we eat?
No, I'm
Or
good.
while we
While we
discuss?
have-
While we discuss?
While we
No.
visit.
Okay.
Yes. It's torture to feed me bean soup and set me between two women. I just want
Larry, it doesn't move that fast.
Larry,
Yeah.
later. You can do that later.
Yeah.
Put that in your brain, your psyche. I'm going to do that later.
Larry, I just need to know, for disclaimer purposes, you drive truck for a living, right?
Yes.
Okay, so noted for all the audience out there, any jokes
Thank you.
moving forward can be put in that context of Larry being a truck driver, just for clarification's sake. And there we go. All right, we did our number one disclaimer. If Kelly wants to read that to her, you can read that. We already read that one on air, but just for your own sake to know how we operate here.
I've watched you.
Oh, you have?
I've watched you.
Oh, shit. Well, you're not.
Oh, well,
You're,
then welcome.
Okay, well, fuck.
And you're not
What
a
am I saying?
newbie.
What am I
You
saying?
saw it once
Yeah.
or twice.
Let's go with Vince number 2.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Except for bears.
Bears? What
Yeah.
are bears?
Bears will kill you.
Bears will
kill you.
Yeah, bears will kill you. Jeff sent me something today, but I didn't have a chance to load it up. It was pretty funny. That was a Joe Rogan talking about, had a guest on talking about bears, a little video clip, and it was pretty
Oh
funny.
yeah,
It was
you
like,
played on the way back.
yeah, that one I played. I was like, that's pretty funny. It was like bears are cannibals, like straight up cannibals. Like the male bear came and attacked the cubs of this female bear, and she chased him off and then ate her cubs. Since they're already dead, but she chased the male bear away that killed him, and then she just, like, what?
Reduce,
That's-
reuse, recycle, right?
So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger,
That's
except for
how-
bears.
It's
I mean,
green.
it's
Green bears.
I guess it's the bears. Can I get
Wow.
a Larry? What do you see on there that you need to read today?
Ooh, to argue.
Give me number 5, please, Nate.
That is a really good one, Larry.
Ooh, to argue with a person who has renounced the use of reason is like admitting medicine to the dead.
Administering.
It's so true.
Administering medicine to the dead.
Yeah, it's fucking useless.
Excuse me. New glasses. I'm getting used to them.
Dude,
right
you're
now.
looking pretty dapper today.
yeah.
You
They
shaved?
look good,
Yeah,
yeah.
I shaved. I got new glasses. Got my hair cut.
I see that. I mean, you're
Yeah.
pretty clean, buddy.
Uh-huh.
You were scruffy the other day. I wasn't judging. I was just noting it. You've watched the show before. Is there anyone in any of the disclaimers in particular that you would like to read, or do you have your own disclaimer? Is there any political or corporate affiliations that you need to warn Kelly of anything?
Oh.
The show doesn't reflect anything in your business life whatsoever, but if you need to say it, we've had other people that serve or in political office.
Common sense.
Yeah, common
Reflects
sense.
my business life
You,
daily.
want to do that one?
Yes, common sense.
Common sense, please, Nate. It'll be up. Did we get it?
It's almost there. You're welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nate. Number 8.
Yeah, what is that?
That is Diet Cherry Dr. Pepper.
All right.
Yes, it is.
A long habit
nice.
of not thinking of things wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right, and raises at first a formidable outcry in defense of custom. But the tumult soon subsides. Time makes more converts than reason. Thomas Paine. Common sense?
Common sense, 1776. Long habit of thinking it's all good doesn't mean it's good,
It's definitely not good here in Michigan
right?
now. It's definitely not
right?
good.
We got some.
There's not a lot of it around right now.
No.
Not a lot.
As Mike said during our delegate meeting the other day, Saturday, we are the according to the things that we just passed and who is in political office, we are the bluest state in the nation.
That's
How
scary.
is that
machines
even
were certified.
possible?
Through fraud.
Just look
Yeah.
at the amendments that we passed. They're even more outrageous than any other state, and there's some pretty bad ones out there.
Yeah, and it's
California didn't even pass the 30 days post death certificate for children. Did you know they had that on?
I did not.
California had a bill written to murder children 30 days after birth and called it abortion.
Wow.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
That
And
is
California didn't even pass that, but hey, we got partial birth abortions here in
Oh,
Michigan.
why not? I mean, that's
Legal.
just.
Does
Yeah.
that not just blow your mind?
Honestly,
no, it doesn't. The apostasy of the Democrat Party has no limits. These liberals are as far away from God or being Christ-like as you can possibly get. It's not surprising anymore.
No, it's not.
It's sad. It's
Well, what's sad
unexpected.
is
It's
that-
inhumane. It's immoral.
you know the funny thing is if you ask any of them about a box of kittens thrown out a car,
No, they freak
they
the
would
fuck out.
cry. They
Yeah.
would cry, but it's okay to tear a baby apart.
Well, yeah. No, it's
okay.
when are we going to put the stickers that say "Save the baby
Well,
humans"?
it's
Because
a-
we can save the baby whales, but not the baby humans.
Yeah,
What are you gonna
it
say?
just depends on, the cost.
Could we
and
sell
I don't
those and market the
understand
show?
that. Where's the cost, for the kittens or the baby?
We would try to sell those, Larry, but I don't know who would actually buy them because
I would buy one. You'd say,
save the baby humans.
save the baby humans, and right underneath it, this is my
I'll have the
grave.
research team jump on that because I would gladly sell those on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, save the baby humans. All
Yeah,
right,
because where's the passion for that?
where is the passion? Nate, I need number 4, please, sir. Oh. It is easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. Mark Twain.
Oh.
It took it a minute to pop up on that screen over there. So I was
Oh,
like,
so
what?
you're-
Yeah, I was like, what is there? We're working out those screens, but it's good. Thank you, Nate. And number 12, please.
This is for all of us.
This is for everybody. We got to read it in unison as best we
Yeah.
can.
In unison.
Raw.
As soon as Nate switches it.
Amazing Asian.
As soon as the amazing Asian goes us to number 12.
Where's the amazing Asian today?
He's
He's
over
in
in his
the
booth.
corner.
Yeah.
I told him I
Number, there you go,
There
Nate.
you go.
Ready?
Never
apologize and never explain.
It's a sign of weakness.
And do we have the video clip?
Weakness. Never.
I guess
And I
not.
think that people out here would do well, if you're watching, to understand that apologies do nothing with these monsters.
Yeah.
Crowder.
Thank you, Stephen Crowder.
Wow, you're right.
That was from his interview with
He's
Alex
right.
Jones.
And who did he say that? Yeah, he said
Yeah,
it was to Alex
interview
Jones.
with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Alex Jones.
After Alex Jones
one of the most
apologized.
hated.
Yeah,
One
it
of the most
doesn't
hated.
matter,
Like-
right? It doesn't
like
do
years
anything.
after he apologized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one guy that got several $1 million, well, awarded several million that he'll never get, Alex Jones had never heard of him, and they asked him, they're like, have you ever spoken to Alex? It was an FBI agent
Dude.
that just got like millions of dollars because Alex Jones defamed him, and he's like, did you ever hear Alex Jones ever mention your name? He's like, no. He's like, have you ever seen Alex Jones? He's like, no. He didn't know.
I specifically remember every single time someone, like a caller or a guest or anything like that, you know, as far as that argument
Yeah.
that they took him to court over Sandy Hook,
Yeah.
I always heard him back away from that. And he's like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to cover it. It already happened. It's done. You know? So he only covered it for like 20 to 30 minutes, maybe.
Well, it was going around the internet huge that Sandy Hook was a hoax, and that it was, I mean, the whole town of Sandy Hook is basically all CIA agents, and that they said that the whole mass shooting was a hoax. Now, I've watched a ton of the videos. There's some anomalies. There's some big shit going on there. But he had a few people on because it was going around the internet, and people kept calling in and asking him about it. So he had a few people on, and they gave their opinions, and he came and he looked at it. But eventually he's like, no, I think people died. I think there was anomalies. I think that's been blown up. I think they're using it. But I think people died. And then several years later is when they brought this lawsuit saying that he sent people. It's all bullshit. Never happened.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah.
nothing surprises me nowadays in this country. Is the things that are going on are just insane.
They are.
Yeah, you have a fake news media that is focused on destroying this country. Their goal is to divide us.
Absolutely.
They're not a media source, and what they're doing isn't
No, they're
free
propaganda.
speech. Right.
Right, they're not a news source that we can rely on because what they've been posting and putting out there is not
you see the
even
one-
close.
Well, they can't
You see
even get
that
the
one
weather
news
right.
clip where I can't remember what show it was on, but they were talking about like this having the same discussion we're having right now,
Right.
And at the end of it, they were like, "It's a fucking death cult."
Right.
Like that's the only thing that they could
That's the only-
categorize
that's the only sum that they
what's
could come up
coming
with.
after us all.
Right.
You know.
And it is. You know, they want to kill babies. They want to kill the people. They want to kill the elderly because, you know, Bill Gates said we can hire 10 teachers if we kill grandma. You know, that's
That
their
sounds
system.
really interesting.
Oh yeah, he's like, well, if sustaining that last 3 months of life, you know, if that means we can't hire
patient.
for that
I remember
patient
exactly how he said it
patient,
because he's
then
such a fucking nerd.
for 3 months, then well, how about this, Bill? We don't hook them up on every fucking pharmaceutical drug that you can find, and we don't destroy their life by
That he
the end
makes.
of it. Yeah, let's try not to destroy people through the pharmaceutical industry to the point that they need to be on every fucking drug and ventilator and shacked up in a hospital and spend $1 million.
Why do people even listen to him? I mean, he didn't make Microsoft. He's
Oh, 'cause
got no background in anything.
He's a philanthropist and he has billions of dollars
Right.
for helping
Because
humanity.
mommy sold him to the right people then. Because
With,
that's
yeah, well, his amazing technology that he definitely didn't steal
Yeah.
from his old college buddy.
right.
Right, and he didn't monopolize,
And he
get
didn't build it
penalized
off
for
of another system that was
Right.
created just before
you know,
that.
You know what always amazed me was he's out there promoting, the vaccine, which wasn't a vaccine. Sorry, YouTube, you can fuck yourself. But he's out there promoting this jab shit, okay? And one of the things I said from day one, I'm like, as soon as I saw Gates out there and he's promoting this, I go, this is a guy that can't keep a computer virus off of his software to save his life. I think they're in cahoots. I think they're all working together to fuck everything up. But either way, you can't keep a computer virus out of your own software, which is infinitesimal compared to the human body that God created. And you created this software, and you can't keep a virus out of this. And I'm going to trust you to be the spokesman to talk about keeping a virus out of my body? Fuck off. I mean, just that alone, just that surface level, if you're going to be the spokesman for this and you're going to be invested in it, it's not going to work. Because your computer software, there are people that hack Windows and write in the code, they write, Bill Gates, fix your fucking software. They write it in there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do, because it's so easy to fuck it up. So, anyways, we're good with the disclaimers. The Anglo-Saxon for tonight is geared at conservatives, because I wanna dive into a bunch of topics with conservatives. Of course, America First is our theme tonight, but I want to dive into a bunch of topics with conservatives because what I see across the board is that conservatives, we tend to be, we all want to be loners. We want, and that's not a bad thing, but we have less tribalism overall. The left, those weird fuckers out there, they like to tribe. They like to do that, okay? Gangs are that way. Cults are that way. They like to tribe. But people who truly just want to be left alone and do their own thing, they'll get together with people at times.
Well, let's not forget, liberalism is a cult.
Well, it is a cult, and it's a mental disorder.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is that when your beliefs are fundamentally flawed to a small extent or to a great extent, you look for other people to back up your flawed worldview, your flawed philosophies, okay? Validation. Yeah, you scream the loudest to see who will back you up. And that creates a false tribalistic identity. Our sporting events create a false tribalistic identity, but a bit purer. It's more pure because there isn't really a hidden agenda. You know, I'm rooting for my team, period. There's no other coercion or underlying, you know, cult
Issue or-
cult issue.
yeah.
There's no cult. Means to occult something means to hide it. It means to keep it hidden. So what I'm looking at is the Anglo-Saxon for the night is we need to fucking work together. And I'm aiming that at the conservatives because we tend to be very independent. And that in and of itself is not a bad thing. But and here's my caveat, in that independence, it is easy for us to find divisive things to maintain our dependence. We're so steeped in our independence that we will look for things to keep ourselves independent so that we don't feel like we're joining the cult, drinking the Kool-Aid, becoming too tribal and not understanding the depths of that. That in and of itself is a good thing, but at a certain point, we have to fucking work together. We've got to come together because everybody else out there is coming together. I was thinking of the Tower of Babel, and we can go into that a little bit later, but in the Tower of Babel, it said that the Lord came down and looked at it and said, if as one people speaking one language they begun to do this, nothing will be impossible for them. And so we don't come together and into the depth that the fucking leftists do, that the whack jobs do. I mean, you'll have the craziest fucking people in the world backed up by the left. I watched Nancy Pelosi bow to Black Lives Matter, who were the biggest fucking thieves out there, who just scammed the fuck out of everybody, used every event out there that the media pushed. But if it was a black on black crime, they didn't publish it. There are people murdered in Chicago every week, black on black.
Oh, 70 or 80, yeah.
They don't publish that.
No.
But if it happens to be a white person killing a
Well, it doesn't
black
fit
person,
their
It doesn't
objective.
fit the narrative.
correct, and you can see it. The mass shootings that we just had, the gay nightclub, it was a gay person
Pulled it from the news.
it was
His dad was a heroin porn addict.
correct.
No,
and it was
actually on the radio, I heard one clip they played of what the guy said, and I never heard it after that.
Well, and the Walmart guy that just shot his coworkers.
That was just
that
revenge
one
against
too.
coworkers.
He had some kind of mental thing going on. He was seeing demons and stuff. In
Correct,
them.
but it was also just where he planned it
Yeah.
out, and he went into his coworkers,
Yeah.
and that doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit the white lone gunman. You know, it used to be just the lone gunman.
I'm so sick of tagging skin color to everything.
Oh.
It's abhorrent.
Isn't it a completely
Dude, they're-
anathema to what?
They're still going after the AR-15 like it's the
Oh
most
no,
dangerous thing in the entire
they've
world.
broadened it. Joe Biden made a statement about semi-automatics.
Semi-auto style
Yeah.
AR-15 rifle
Well,
He doesn't
with
even
big,
know what that
semi-automatics
with
is.
big
in general.
giant bullets when actually the bullets are
Right.
almost the same size as a 22.
Well, it's a 223.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, the 5.56, 223, and the 22 can all be fired through my AR-15.
Mine too.
And
And
you
a
have
5.56.
Yeah.
300 blackout,
I do have 300 blackout too. That's
which we got to go shoot.
we do need to go shoot.
Yeah.
That's a side note. I mean, where's my shotgun?
I
it's
don't
over
know.
there. It's over
What's
there.
So
over
we're getting
there?
dusty.
Just in case we need to rack. But anyway, so we're going to get into more of this as we develop, go into the ideas. But I want to look at this from the conservatives and say, look, I get it. We are America First. We tend to be very political purists. We tend to be independent. But at a certain point, this is not a capitulation. This is not a concession or us acquiescing or trying, there's a C word that I can't think of. It's not the other one, but compromise. I'm not talking about compromising. I'm talking about understanding that we have to find common ground with the majority of conservatives so that we can take back our country.
Make the goal the goal.
Make the goal the goal. We have a good friend, and she said something to me the other day, and I'm not saying her name or anything like that, but she said, I lost all respect for this person because they backed away from the, going after the election, talking about the election and the anomalies in the 2020. And I said, okay, I understand that. But understand this is 2 years later, and they're running at this point, and I didn't have time to discuss it, but I look at those things and I go, I get it. I listened to people that came out and said this, and this. And I said, okay, that's 90% in line with America First, just, independent. I don't want you to tell me if I want to build a fucking shed in my backyard, I don't need 14 permits to tell me how to do it and all that shit. Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
But then those people fall short of saying I'm an they don't step to the podium and say I'm an America First candidate. And I go, where are we at as America First candidates or as America First people when we look at somebody who lines up completely but doesn't embrace the moniker, or lines up 80% and doesn't embrace the moniker?
A lot of them don't know, I don't think.
I mean, look at the people in Pennsylvania. Well, a lot of people don't know, correct?
Right. Well, I mean, take a look at what America First is. There's nothing about being America First that isn't in line with the Republican Party. Nothing. Zero.
Correct. But
It is.
That's why they're teaching generations that America's racist and misogynist.
Well, that's all they got. And if you want to look at our history,
transphobic.
Yeah, I mean, you want to look at what's going on. The Democrats stand there and say racist, racist, racist. Well, if you turn back and look at Democrats' history, if you look at Democrats' history, they are. But it's them. It's not us.
Correct.
It's always been them, never been us.
I was just going to say, I feel like I remember seeing a picture of the Ku Klux Klan, and this was a long time ago, walking down the street with an America First banner.
That's what I was going to go to.
Yeah.
Is we've got to understand that Nate, cut to my laptop, please.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
No,
I'm good at
we're
that.
fine.
That's why the Democrats always.
That's
call
why I
it
have
a
it as number
democracy.
4 on the theme.
Well, America is not a democracy and never has been. That's a pet peeve of mine. She doesn't
I
like
know.
Acronyms.
That's exactly
I don't
why
like
they
the
call
word
it that.
democracy.
Right.
Because it's
Right,
not.
'cause we're a
It never
republic.
has been. We are a constitutionally limited republic.
Correct.
The Constitution limits the powers of government, not
Yeah.
the powers of the people.
Gives the individual
And-
the power.
And I even go even further with that, Larry, when that
Bill of
subject is brought
Regulations.
up, and I go, it's constitutionally limited republic. I even go further and say it's a constitutionally limited representative republic, because our foundation was representation in the home, representation in the town square, and representation in the local governments, the federal governments. I think we need to go back to where we vote now for our senators. I don't like that. Originally, constitutionally, they were appointed. And the reason I like that is because we would pay more attention to our local representatives who do then vote on the senators. It's like, well, I have the right to vote on my senator, so I don't give a fuck what this other guy is going to do, and it's like, no, we need to have that chain.
As a delegate, we get to vote on the judges. Do you know how many people don't know that?
Yeah.
And that we need history brought back to school.
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely, education in what we are able to do.
Absolutely.
We don't have that as it's not a wealth of it. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
It's a pocket here. It's like that's why I'm here, is to learn.
Yeah.
When these guys can come and give a little insight on it, because we aren't getting that information out to the general public. Basically, they think we're tied.
Well, and even that we've got to. Part of the thing that I love to do here as a teacher is to bring out information. So I pulled up the Wikipedia, and it says America First, right? First statement: it's a policy of World War. I knew this. It's a policy of World War I to stay out of the war. It's not our war. It's over in Europe. America First, right? And then immediately the next paragraph is in 1920, the policy was used by the Ku Klux Klan and informed many of their members who ran political office, right? And then immediately after that, it says in 2016, David Duke, former Grand Wizard, and then the very next paragraph, and Donald Trump also used it. Mm-hmm. So what they've done is they've they've polluted the waters here.
Yes.
Because David Duke's
They
a
did
dumbass
muddy
that
it.
every time that fucker he's used by the Democrats because the minute he endorses somebody, it taints them. So they send him out to endorse those people on purpose. That's not in here. They don't talk about him being a psyop, okay? But that's who he is. He's a useful fucking idiot at the least, and he is a straight up CIA operative at the most, okay? Not a very good one, but
Probably
he's
one of Slotkin's friends.
probably one of Slotkin friends. But I wanted to bring that up because that's what, when somebody thinks of America First, I went in here and I typed it in, the search engine, right? And it pulled up the first 4 things tied the Ku Klux Klan with Donald Trump and resistance to foreign wars, okay? Well, if you've grown up to where we've got to fight terrorism since 2001, if you're not with us, then you're with the
They want to
terrorists.
call us
Good old
domestic terrorists.
Thank you. But that's what we're dealing with.
It's a mentality.
It's a mentality, and I want some people to understand out there that when we say America First, and some people throw up a stop sign to us, it's not that they don't believe like us. The vast majority of them do. They might have read this and not like the name.
Mm-hmm.
They might have some other aversion to it. And what I'm looking at is, how do we be America First people and understanding what that means to us?
Personify it.
Right, what that means to us. And I didn't
Yep.
bring I had my paper from Saturday. I'm so glad that Joe printed it out for us. And I wanted to read it on the air. I don't know if anybody else has one. But Joe Farkas, who's awesome and does so much for Livingston, Republican County, and more, printed out a whole paper on America. Do you have it, Larry? You look like you're going to leave.
No.
He was like leaning his chair like, I know.
No, I'm listening.
Don't
Yeah.
you do it, Larry.
So,
don't you do it.
Don't you fucking do it, Larry.
You never know what I'm planning.
I hear
I just
ya.
ate beans.
I know.
Oh,
don't
shit.
you do it,
Don't
Larry.
you fucking do it, Larry.
Don't you do it. Us girls can only handle so much.
Exactly, man. You got to keep that shit together.
I live with all boys, so, or men.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I was
You've been
raised with
subjected.
brothers, lots.
Yeah, so what I'm looking at is we've got people that don't espouse the mantras. Like some people, I watched our delegate group on Saturday. The average age there had to be 55 to 60, okay? It was one of the things that I noted right away. I said it to Mike. We were standing in the back. I said, Mike, we've got to, are we reaching the youth? We're not. And if we're not reaching the youth, then we've got to reach the youth and then empower them. I don't expect a bunch of 20-year-olds to be at that meeting. I don't expect it. But I expect the people there to know whether the 20-year-olds are getting or are in alignment with that message, okay? And I know there's a lot of youth out there, anywhere from 20 to 40 years. This is the quote that I keep using from Churchill is, if you're not a liberal at 20, then you have no heart. If you're not a conservative at 40, then you don't have a brain. I love that quote. Mm-hmm. So we've got a lot of young people that feel stuff, and we can reach them. I did youth pastor ministry. I've been in churches for years. I know how to connect with the youth on certain levels, because being a teacher and trying to empower them to be the best that they can. But there are people that I know can do it better than me, definitely connect with youth. I've seen youth ministries that are phenomenal, that just explode. And we've got to be able to connect with them and then be genuine with them and say, have you examined these issues? Not indoctrinate them in the issues, but give them the tools to critically think about it. And then once you give them the tools to critically think about it and then present the issues, they're going to critically think about it and come back and go, yeah, killing babies right up to the point of birth or even after, that doesn't sound like a good thing. That sounds pretty bad. Or all the other shit that they snuck into that Proposal 3 that was just absolutely abhorrent.
Horrendous.
Well, from what I understand, that's not all we're dealing with. Apparently, California passed a law to where, say, you have a kid here in Michigan, and that kid at the age of 10 decides, well, I don't want to be a boy anymore. I want to be a girl. They come to you, and you say,
they fund it
"Get
and
out of
provide
here."
transportation for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. If they literally call
they
them,
Probably give you
kidnap your-
housing
yeah.
and
It's like
$1,200 a
government
month.
Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah, they kidnap your kid,
Oh,
is what they
yeah.
do. They're kidnapped.
they are kidnapping. Go to that, Kelly. Explain to. I've studied Munchausen for a long time, but explain to people the
What Munchausen is.
yeah, just the basic tenets of Munchausen by proxy.
So basically, let's say you have a mom that has so much love for this kid that she makes the kid sick to constantly be able to take care of the kid. And she keeps feeding it poison and then rushing it to the doctor and please help me, my baby. And then
Yep.
she feeds it poison because as soon as it starts feeling better, it gets independent.
Yep.
It wants to walk on its own. It wants to talk on its own. It wants to do its own thing. And she
Right.
can't have that. So
Yeah.
our government is that mom.
Yes.
And right now, kids, the 20-somethings,
Yeah.
want to be taken care of because that's all they've known from mommy and daddy their whole life. I got criticized. When my kid turned 17 and was able to drive,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't start driving at 16. But when she turned 17, I was like, here's your
Job.
doctor's number.
Yep.
Here's your dentist number. You make your own appointments because you're going to have to do this when you leave me.
Right.
This is how you clean. These are, and that wasn't 17. That was, 5 years old. You're helping me with laundry. This is how you sort it. There are so many parents that don't do that now.
Oh, it's
Amen.
amazing.
So
And-
many.
And that truly, the education in the home for me is paramount to what's going on right now. Because if we don't teach our kids that there is the low points in life and the high points in life and all the crap in between,
How to
and we don't
manage
teach
that.
them to do the laundry and do the cooking and do the cleaning and do all of the negotiating and plus going to work and everything, what we do is we do set ourselves up for people who lean, mooch, leech,
Yeah.
get and think that they're entitled.
Yes.
And I think that the entitlement in this country from the youth, from my perspective, not necessarily right now, but the 30-year-olds, I watched that entitlement, and it was huge.
They've been empowered. We've had such prosperity that the parents didn't have to struggle.
Yes.
And I'm a
I
firm
went to
believer.
school with a lot of them.
Right. I'm a firm believer
and
that
I'm from a product that we had to struggle. I had to
Right.
struggle. Jeremy's from a product that he had to struggle. You had to struggle. But those that didn't have to struggle, okay, I'm really happy when they're doing okay, but it doesn't always happen that way, and we can't function like it does.
And the funny thing is,
Right.
they will tell us that they struggled because they had to go without when they couldn't get
Without what? That's the issue.
A more luxurious thing than the
Yes,
luxury thing.
thank you.
I'm like, look, if you haven't lived in your car
I
and
did.
you haven't and you haven't had the lights turned off and had to figure out how to pay for it, you know,
Yeah.
if you haven't, I mean, we've got the septic field in now, but we don't have water back here. We don't have the bathroom in yet. And it's a pain in the ass sometimes to go and get water. You know, we bring down the 5-gallon jugs down here, and we bring down the gallon jugs to do all of our stuff like that. And we wash some dishes down here, but we take some of the dishes all the way up to the house. And some people go, wow, I don't know how you do all that. And I go, we lived in a house for 2 years that operated on a little generator. And we fired up the big generator 3 times a week so everybody could take showers and do everything like that. And we filled up the bathtub with water so then we could use the water to flush the toilets because the pump didn't run on the little generator. Like, we did that for 2 years because we were fighting with the bank over the house. And the power got shut off. I'm like, that is nothing. That's nothing compared to what people did as a daily routine 100 to 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Us having to suffer with only using the generator to watch TV and have the internet on, right? And then half the lights on in the house. That's what we did throughout the week. Nobody suffered. Everybody dropped into a routine. We had a blast. We had so much fun there. It was ridiculous. You know?
Well, because you had to work together, too. It wasn't like it was easy peasy and you went your own way.
Right.
You had to work together. Somebody had to figure out, okay, today,
And the people go, why didn't you just have the electricity turned back on?
Because it's that easy.
Because we were not the original mortgage holder. We were on a lease to own. The original mortgage holder defaulted. We were not squatters. We fought with the bank for the right to buy the property, and they refused to sell it to us. And so we fought them in court for 4.5 years. And in the process of that, we had 2 years where we could not prove ownership or current lease agreement. Therefore, we couldn't have the power on. And the original lease agreement was in one of our corporations that during the 2008 crash, throughout the fallout of the 2008 crash, went defunct. So how do you prove, right?
You know what gets me the most about? We lived there for 9 years. One more year and we could have claimed homestead.
I know.
All of us.
Right.
I mean, anyone really. Anyone that was there for 9 years.
Right.
If we would have just made it 10 years.
But people don't get that. They
Couple
don't get.
months short.
You're right. But people don't get struggle. They don't get that.
And the people that do know struggle, they feel like they don't have a voice. Because they're so deep in that
Right.
struggle. Tell me, when you're trying to figure out how to get groceries in your house and take care of your family, and you just lost your job and your car runs like shit,
Right.
and you're trying to get your ducks in a row, that you have any sense of government. Because right
Yeah.
now you're just
So
trying to
that's the
survive.
last
Trying to
thing
survive. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think of is, some big giant over the top corporation or entity is just going to take control of my life
And fix me,
Well,
help
and,
me,
and
what?
offer me some help.
yeah. Well, think about this. We currently live in a society where poor people have 2 TVs, a microwave,
I know.
cell phones,
We're fat.
And a Louis Vuitton purse.
and a Louis Vuitton purse. Yeah.
Coach.
You're exactly right.
Coach.
Coach. Yeah.
Coach.
Coach.
No,
or-
it's Louis. Come on now.
Yeah, well, either one.
What about
Seriously?
Juicy? Remember Juicy Couture?
Juicy's old.
Juicy's.
Juicy's old?
Is
Yeah.
Louis Vuitton more expensive than Coach?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, for the guys,
Well, I
we
wouldn't
had
know
some
that.
John Coors. What's his Coors? Coors.
Oh, Michael Kors?
Michael
Yeah,
Kors.
Michael
Yeah.
Kors.
Yeah, that's. I remember that being just a few years ago. Being, if you.
But
didn't
yeah,
have- if you
I've said that before. We are a fat country, and right now,
Mm-hmm.
we either get our ducks in a row and get lean and mean, and stand up for our rights, or we lose them, and we've already lost.
Well, you got to know your rights or lose them. And a lot of
Exactly.
people don't know their rights.
I think what-
they don't know the Constitution.
No.
They have no idea what freedom and liberty is.
What were you gonna say, Kelly?
I think one of the big things that people are missing right now is they're not looking at the bigger picture. No, they're not taking the steps back to see where this is heading. Because weak men are made on the backs of strong men.
Yep.
And we are at the weakest point we've ever been. Look at the resident. I mean, that is as weak as you get as a leader for a country.
Right. Nate, do we have our update for
Biden
the
update?
former vice president? Do we have a update for him?
Never go full retard.
Oh, that's one of them. I think there's a couple more. Give me the other one, Nate.
That's
A
insensitive.
nutless monkey could do your job.
That's one of them. There's one more.
Oh, I would never take credit.
No. Loser Nate.
I think we took that one off.
Is it a
Oh, it's
sniffer?
missing?
Oh,
It took your
go
butt.
ahead,
Fucking
Kate.
loser.
Oh,
There it is. Play it again.
He looks like a fucking loser.
There we go. That's just
Well, that's just like
My
your
opinion.
opinion, man.
so. There's our update for the former vice president. But you're exactly right. Is we've got it's become so pathetic, and I look at an alpha male like Trump, and he's definitely got some pride and arrogance in some certain areas where he won't just acknowledge certain things, but.
But there's a certain part of him
there's a
with
certain
those
part-
kahunas that
Yeah.
you got to respect him
There's a
and
certain-
look at it and go, he's
Yeah.
standing up.
Well, he says he doesn't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
that's the problem with our society is we've been conditioned to just sugarcoat everything.
To not offend.
Well, and so for like me, I'm an extremist on the Democrat side. On the Republican side, I'm an anarchist. I
Right.
looked at my daughter the other day. I'm like, your mom is a 40-year-old anarchist. Are you excited about that? You know, because it's like the anarchists when I was a kid were like, yeah, punks, tear stuff up. I'm
Right.
not that at all. I'm a woman that's standing up saying my business was closed. I couldn't get seen for a lump.
Right.
I can go down the laundry list of infringements, and I was raised in the military. So I don't know the Constitution. Well, let me rephrase that. Prior to 2020, I didn't know the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, but I
Right.
had a pretty good idea.
Right.
I honestly don't think about 60% of my age group really has any concept of what their rights are or what the Constitution it gives them.
Correct.
And we've let these lawyers and serial politicians, for lack of better words,
That's a good one.
corrupt the system to the point where they've made this minutia of just mud with our Constitution because they threw this law to cover them here and that law to what we need is to repeal everything back down.
Right.
Make it simple, because simple is Occam's razor, right? It's
That-
the simplest solution.
You're
It's the
exactly
best
right.
How long have I
Yeah.
been saying that?
Yeah, yeah, we've all been saying that. And the thing is, they word it so much and convolute it and get it all. And they, it's like, I'm sorry, every bill that they put out, how many pages do you need to explain a small? But see, they're shoving
None.
shit
I need a
in
garbage
there.
can.
Well, and these machines. So everybody's talking certification. Well, how can you certify what's uncertifiable? And how can you certify what hasn't been certified?
Right.
Because our machines haven't been certified since 2016 because the company that does the certifications didn't get their certification.
Correct.
But they put the machines in place anyways
But they're still using
without
them.
the
So they're
certification.
certifying illegal elections done
Yeah.
on uncertified machines.
Right.
And it's like every time I say it to people, they look at me like I have three heads. And I'm like, no, really, like just go read. There's lawsuits.
Well, why
Like,
does it
read.
matter who owns the machine? Why does it matter
Well,
if they
then
have
I'm the
billions and billions of
president.
dollars?
Yeah, it
the
matters
United
who
States.
counts the votes.
Billions
That's all
and
that
billions of
matters.
dollars of
The votes
influence.
don't matter. It just matters who counts them.
No, it matters how the machines are not certified and how they work, and you guys live with it, okay?
Well, we're going to use our machines to count them,
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm
and
going
it
to have to
doesn't
quote
matter
Stalin.
how many.
Stalin said that he does not care who votes. He cares who counts the votes.
Exactly.
Pretty sure
There you
I
go.
heard that recently in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I was trying to look up a quote. I think it was from Jefferson, but it was either Jefferson or it might have been Madison. One of the founding fathers, one of the founding fathers who were deeply involved in the drafting of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution and Bill of Rights, said that when legislation becomes too, when there's too many words,
Yeah.
you will invariably have corruption.
Yeah.
Was
Now
it the
the-
14th Amendment that wasn't ratified that had script in it that said lawyers should not be allowed to serve in office?
I don't remember that one. We'd have to look that up.
I feel like it was an unratified portion of the Constitution that was created because lawyers were making a mess of things.
I like it.
Well,
If not, we should make it.
I think we should. Well, I like, what was it, Matt Gaetz' proposals? I think it was Matt Gaetz that came out and immediately said that one of his proposals will be that, along that line, but it was along the line of lobbyists. Either you are a lifetime lobbyist or you're a lifetime politician, but you can't be both. You can't be a politician and then get out of office and become a lobbyist, and you can't be a lobbyist and then become a politician. There's
Pelosi
too much-
only made 32 million. Okay.
That is rumor and
just
hearsay.
back off.
Last week.
That's rumor and hearsay. That is not.
I will say, I don't know if Larry told you guys what I do for a living, but I work in Ann Arbor and have for 20 years. I'm a hairstylist, so I come from a very monopolized by not my ideology group of people. And one thing I'm noticing is they're really unhappy now too. And that's where like I kind of feel like I can bridge that gap and relay information, and I do that almost daily. So it's become really fortunate for me to be able to know how to speak the lingo so that I can speak the lingo to translate thought.
Right.
You know, it's like today I had a retired teacher who's in her 80s, has no idea what's going on in China, and I start telling her, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And I'm like,
What's going on in
but
China?
aren't they right-wing extremists? Because you were saying that people that were at the Capitol here in Lansing fighting back against the shutdowns were right-wing extremists. But Chinese people throwing themselves out of buildings because they're locked down because COVID policy is not right-wing extremism. It's sad and inhumane. Okay, got it.
Right.
Yeah, because it's
Right.
not right in front
Right.
of her face.
Yeah, the 300 Muslim, 3 million Muslim slaves currently there.
Right, right.
So we're offended if somebody.
Well, and I'm not even talking about the Uyghurs. I'm just talking about the regular citizens.
Exactly,
They
but
don't
that's
even-
the extremist.
Yeah.
Or the extreme of understanding. It's like you are offended that somebody might have done something racist, or that Bubba Wallace found a knot on a pull-down set of stairs that everybody has in their fucking garage. It's the same fucking knot, but you assumed it was a noose, whatever you thought it was, to get publicity or whatever. I have a buddy that literally builds race cars and races them, and he's like, I've been in that gym. It's a pull-down knot. It's a knot with a loop in it, so you can grab it with your finger and pull down the stairs and get in the attic of the bay that you're in, that you're working on, for whatever. They might store, just generic shit up there, whatever. The point is, it's a little thing. But our country freaks out about that, and yet there is literal slave auctions in Africa today, and nobody in this country has a concept or outrage.
And Palestinians are killing gay Israels. Like, it's happening daily.
Did you? I said it on the job site today because I read the meme. Because we've got our soccer players going over to United Arab Emirates right now to play in the World Cup. Okay, it's FIFA, and they're doing all sorts of bullshit, rainbow colors, doing all this stuff like that. And there was a meme somebody put out. It was a Muslim in a turban, and it said on there, it's like, we have new pronouns for the American team, was and were. You want to go over to that country, unless you're doing it on this high profile thing. If you walked over there under any other circumstance that wasn't high profile, and they found out that you were a homosexual in their country,
Does their
Head
stadium
off.
You're
have
dead.
a roof on
Thrown
it?
from the building.
you're dead. And these people walk around in this country doing the most outrageous, offensive bullshit things. And I go, the only reason you can do that is because of the freedoms and those who fought and died for those freedoms that you're flaunting. And you don't get that.
You don't even recognize that it came from somewhere that you have that freedom.
Well, and it goes back to what you were talking about. It's the ego. It's that hive mind, the need for validation. Because I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care how you want to dress. I don't
do
care
your
if you
thing.
want to. If you're a guy that wears makeup, go for it. Have
Have
fun.
fun, yeah.
Don't put anything on me, and
Yeah.
don't affect my children.
Exactly.
You can be kind to my children. I will be kind to you. My kids will be kind to you. But do not start pushing anything on my
Your
kids.
agenda.
Or
Right.
me, exactly.
That's right.
And we live in a country where that's allowed, right? Go back to what Larry said. They can take our kids to California for a sex change. But
Right.
with this new number 3 we got, we don't need to worry about that. We're going to
No,
be
they
the
can do it
open
here.
border abortion state, and they can do it here.
Right.
So it's like, these people, they've lost their minds. It's hard.
And how is that not so visual in your head that you see the audacity of all of it? That you can lose your child. Okay, so California takes a child, however, 12 years old, sex change and everything. Okay, that child is still your family. And I can guarantee you, California ain't going to take care of them.
Oh, they'll take care of them.
They'll fuck them up,
here's the thing.
and then they'll
Exactly.
let them be part of the
Exactly.
homeless
Hook 'em
population.
up
That's
to
not
the
no. That's not taking
federal
care.
teat.
I'm talking about true taking care.
Right.
Plug you into the
because
matrix.
it's not going to happen. Am I right?
Here's the mistake California's making, right? And it's a huge mistake on their behalf, right? If they interfere, if somebody kidnaps your child, a 10-year-old that wants to become the opposite sex, whatever it may be, and they take them across these state lines, get them to California. California state law, if you have a conservative president and a conservative prosecutor, all right, California's
is done.
Whoever did that,
Yeah.
that's kidnapping. They're going to jail for life.
In the 60s, we had men arrested
Right.
who traveled with black men arrested who traveled with white women across state lines in an absolute no malfeasance. They traveling together on purpose without any coercion were arrested for crossing state lines under federal law. And now you've got an entire state saying that your minor child can be paid. They will pay for them to cross state lines to go.
It's trafficking. It's
straight up trafficking.
It's a state.
It's trafficking. It's kidnapping.
Aiding and abetting.
Yes.
Trafficking.
But we've been allowing. Trump shut it down, but the Biden administration ramped it back up. We've been trafficking all along, and everybody didn't get that. Everybody thought you're trying to keep people struggling in these other countries from coming here and gaining freedom. No, 75 to 85% of the women coming across the southern border have been raped multiple times. The children get into the holding facilities, okay, and molest each other, rape each other, do all sorts of things to each other. Why? Because that's what they've learned. That's learned behavior, and they reflect that behavior. They're coming into those facilities. They have to watch. The kids will exploit each other because we're exploited on the way up, and they think that's how you operate. Mm-hmm. And they don't get that. It was about the drugs and the trafficking. It was never about people yearning to be free. If you wanted to be free, you got to go back to the turn of the century when people were coming through Ellis Island. Those were people that were yearning to be free. Nobody was getting. Maybe there was I haven't ever heard of a case. Maybe there was, of somebody coming across the Atlantic Ocean. Whatever ethnic groups were fleeing, whatever persecution they were fleeing. I've never heard of a case of rapes occurring on the boats because most of them just wanted freedom. They were yearning for freedom. Now you've got people coming across the southern border. I'm not saying that there aren't people in distress in those situations, but the vast majority of them are being exploited. I would say 98% of the people coming across the border are just for exploitation.
Yeah, and what percentage of them are bringing fentanyl across the border?
And who funds them?
Yeah,
right.
Well, the NGOs,
they're not coming for freedom. They're coming for free.
Right.
Correct. Well, and
for everything free.
And we saw our good liberal politicians. And
I mean, I'm sure there's a small percent that are coming for freedom, but they just end up getting exploited by the ones that want all the free shit.
But if our fucking country doesn't have a clue, if the people in our country don't have a clue, what do you think third world country south of our border, the multitude of third world countries, not just Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, all the way into Venezuela?
You remember the vaccination rate of Africa? 6%.
6%. But if you think about this, if our people in our country are clueless as to our constitutional laws, as to our what it means to be free and what's going on, do you think people coming across the border were taught any better? No, they're taught worse, and they're saying if you just get to America, you get free shit, and then they exploit them on the way there.
Right.
Oh, here's a credit card and a cell phone.
Right, and it's not that the American. There might be a percentage of the American people that don't know what's going on, but the Democrats know what they're doing. Right, it's their intent to destroy this country. You don't put policies. The policies that the Democrat Party put into effect can only destroy. They can't improve anything.
Right. They never meant to.
Well,
like
no,
the Patriot Act
right.
and the Freedom Act.
Yeah, there was no. Yeah,
some acronyms for you.
Yeah.
I don't like them acronyms.
Don't give me no fucking acronyms.
Acronyms like Antifa.
Did you have
Antifa. You know what Antifa is?
You give it to us.
Is this official or is this Larry?
It's official Larry.
Official Larry.
All right, Larry, give it.
It's another nasty terrorist that's infiltrated free America.
Amen.
It's pretty close.
And
I like that acronym.
That is actually.
I don't like the Antifa shit. But.
That is actually what they are. They are a fascist group.
I got their new tagline.
You got their new tagline?
I got their new tagline after they say, we're Antifa, bike locks and bullshit. Because that's all it's about. It's just they're throwing bike locks and it's all a bunch of bullshit. You don't stand for anything. You just, anything that I guarantee you, the vast majority of them that we see out there are paid. And the few that aren't paid are going along because they're so mentally deranged or looking for
Well, they're
a
useful
tribe.
idiots.
Well,
They're looking for a
I
tribe.
think that you have it right there. They're looking for a tribe. They're
looking for a
looking
tribe.
to belong. They're looking to connect.
Well, you know what? A lot of them are getting fucking paid.
Yeah.
And
A
then-
lot of
A
money.
lot of them
You
are
know what?
straight up
Do all that stupid
indoctrinated
shit.
by the cult.
Exactly.
Well,
What can draw you in? Money.
Yeah.
What can draw you in?
You think- you
Friendship.
think that-
What can move?
Majority
what
of
can
those
draw you
people
in?
are not
Power,
living
yeah.
on the street struggling like everyone else.
right. No, they some of the outfits that they
I think
show
they're
up
living in their mama's basement playing too much PlayStation.
Well, yeah, some of them.
So the useful idiots, but the ones that are leading it and doing the mantras and get everybody to go. Yeah.
They're all
But, and the
dumbasses.
saddest thing too is that nobody really talks about outside of Antifa, but what is the core of kind of Antifa when you say the useful idiots? The Sunrise Movement. That's where they recruit teachers that belong to the Sunrise Movement, as well as students, recruit other students. We have it here in Michigan. We have it in Livingston County.
Okay.
They recruit these kids and they go to a ceremony where they bring something that's important to them and they sacrifice it at an altar, and everybody chants and cheers for that sacrifice that they made at this altar. And that's the induction into the Sunrise Movement. Then they get to go with a sponsor, so their parents let them go on a weekend like camp type thing with a sponsor, and they get to learn about all these things that they can participate in that is social justice and justice against the government. And these kids are being brought in to do this so that nobody's held accountable, because you can't charge 14, 15-year-olds with some of the stuff that you can charge a 19, 20-year-old with. So they're indoctrinating these kids from school and the playground or wherever they're finding them, and that's how, and they're bringing the whole occult thing with them as they go around and do it. It's disgusting, but nobody talks about it. Sunrise Movement.
And I think that's
Sounds like a cult.
I think that's important
like the
because
LGBTQ.
I actually
Yeah.
personally know a child. She was a very
Forgot the
conservative
P.
girl,
And the plus.
and I would listen
And
to
the
her
AARP.
talk.
And the KKK.
All right, one at a time.
And she became a Sunrise Movement kid, and I've watched what that's done to her. It breaks my heart. Like, she quit seeing me completely because she didn't want the word of the day for her appointment anymore. That's what we used to do when we practiced definitions, so she'd be ready for college. And then all of a sudden, her senior year of high school, she just flipped, and she joined the Sunrise Movement. And
I've never even heard of this.
it's a you know.
But I've got the whole sunrisemovement.org website on here, and it says under their campaign, it says fighting fucking fascism. Sunrise 2.0 launch, jobs for all, wide awake.
they're bringing kids
It's
in. And
the Green
third
New
Oh,
Deal.
it's
grade.
so cool. They said fucking fascism.
Well, you know
They didn't
what's
just say
you know what's funny
fascism.
is if you look into them, I'll bet you would find that they're the fascists. Most of these people that use the word don't know what it means
Well, most
or
of
don't
their-
know what it is.
Most of their handlers in this, and parents are letting these kids go. That's how dumb our
That's
society is
that
right now.
right there is
But
the
These
issue.
handlers
Look how
are
far we
single
had to go.
people that have no children, they're in their 30s, or some of them are real creepy because I've watched some of their videos.
Yeah.
There are some that I am positive they are predators.
Do you ever watch Owen Schroyer?
Yeah.
His videos are awesome.
On
We need to get that clip where the one little, soy boy comes up to Owen. He's like, "Dude, I will snap you like a fucking twig." Because this guy's like coming up, getting in his face and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I'll
And you
fucking
know
snap you like a twig.
that attitude, we do need to shut it down.
this
We
takes
need
me.
to say, hey, and the parents. That's my
And
issue.
you know
as
what
a
they
mom
do is
and grandma
they run away.
Is the parents like? Are you really a part of your kid's life, or
Right.
are you just on the back burner hoping they'll grow up and be good?
My girlfriend Michelle always says, and she just recently got appointed to school board in Heartland, so she just got a seat. She's like, parents put helmets on their kids' brains to protect them while riding on bikes, but they do absolutely nothing for what's inside.
Right.
Yeah.
They do nothing to
Don't
protect
protect
what's
that
inside.
spirit, that heart of a child.
And she's so right, because I see it every day. It's the saddest thing. But that's society. I mean, and those people become adults, and those adults are making babies or killing babies or whatever they're doing to change society in horrible, awful ways that makes me really sad.
I thought we had it bad when we were raising our kids in Redford, And our oldest daughter, Lindsay, when she graduated, she was runner-up class valedictorian. But the
Nice.
principal, right, decided that there was going to be none of that in this graduation. She equalized everything. They didn't want to have a class valedictorian, and they didn't want to have a runner-up. And they didn't want to recognize all the people that have actually worked harder than everybody else, because everybody's different, right? I was bored in school. It was boring to me. I did machine shop and auto and some
excelled
other
in
stuff.
that, right?
I did good in it. Radio, TV, technology, and acting. Yeah, I did good in it. Math
Yeah.
bored me to the point of tears. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
Right.
You know, loved science and loved history, but I had friends that they were bookworms and they excelled better than me.
Right.
I mean, they're not better than me now. I mean, they might have been better than me in school. They're my friends now, and they're just average, everyday Americans.
Right. They were better students
But they were better
at being
students.
a student than you felt you were.
Sure.
But that didn't make them a better person, and I think that's where we need to go.
That's the construct of school, though, is to create good workers.
Yeah,
It's
I
to
was not a
create
good
good
worker.
soldiers. And those of us that push back against that ideology are the outcasts, the loners.
I had to do.
Well, and each one of us needs to find what our call is, like what we're good at.
Yeah.
And a problem in the schools is they want to
They don't want-
standardize and make
Yeah.
sure you stand in this box. And if you're not good in math and all the other things, I went to school with this gal and she was really good in school, great grades, could put out a paper, but the common sense the poor girl had was zero.
Zero.
So we're all different, and if we learn to teach our children for the avenues that they are, how would you say that, purposed for, like Bobby's going to be great in math. He already is,
Right.
because it comes to him and he picks it up like this,
Right.
and it's like, okay, he doesn't like to write. So does that make him a bad kid because the writing is not as good as the math? No, but that's what our society would like to say. So what happens when he becomes a great engineer who still doesn't really care to write?
Right.
Then he can become a doctor. Have you ever seen a doctor's writing?
There you go. There you go.
So what was your take on that?
It's pretty disturbing. We are the climate revolution, and these people have no fucking clue. I was just listening to something.
Takes
and I-
about 5 seconds to realize what's going on here.
Yeah. Global warming is a hoax.
Not only that, I just was hearing a report. I think it was InfoWars. I don't know if it was Harrison Smith or Owen Schroyer. I don't think it was Alex. But anyways, there's a published scientific review that as CO2 levels rise over the last 30 to 40 years,
Wasn't that from like 9 years ago?
that the
2009?
the earth greens.
12 years
It becomes
ago.
more green. And it's amazing to me.
13 years ago.
Here's something, and I wonder if we should do it as a stunt. I wonder if we should grab a camera and grab a group of people and just go down to the Pepsi facility we have here in Howell and just start protesting.
Because of their carbon?
Signs and faces.
Yeah, they're carbonated drinks.
Every soft drink is carbonated.
That's right.
But we've got people standing out here saying we got to fight carp fart. We got to fight.
I love that. Cow farts.
We gotta fart methane.
We are
We got
carbon.
to. I know, but
Zero
they're out there
carbon.
saying we got to fight carbon. I'd love to show up at a place like this and act like I'm their buddy and they not know who I am, and just bring in a couple cases of.
I have an
of
idea. When they buy
drinks.
their new electric car, take all the carbon out of it.
Oh, we could do that too.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
saying that would
take
be
all
something.
the carbon emissions out of producing it.
Yeah.
That would be something to do where we fight fire with
Shut
fire
down
and
half
go.
of China right there.
We go over to the facility and go, and then the news crews show up and we go, oh, we're just protesting carbon, and they go, what do you mean? Well, this place literally puts CO2 into every bottle of sugary soft drink that they make, and nobody's saying anything about it. They're destroying the.
You're destroying the
They're
planet.
destroying the earth right here in our own backyard, and nobody's saying anything. We want them shut down. Every soft drink facility throughout the world. Watch those fuckers backtrack on
Grab
that shit.
onto it.
They would never.
I'd
They would
rather
never.
start
That
with
doesn't
Coke
fit the
They
though.
agenda.
can't, I'm sorry, they can't go without their soda pop.
I think we could convince some people.
Seriously, let's
back
be
that.
selfish enough to say,
I guarantee-
don't mess with the soda pop
But
people.
that's the disconnect
Don't do
is
it.
going
There's
on.
nothing
is
wrong with
everyone-
Pepsi.
No,
or
it doesn't matter.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, don't mess with my pop.
But that's the disconnect. Is I guarantee every one of these kids is drinking a carbonated drink.
Who
And
cares
they're going
if
to
they
fight
use
climate
Coke
change,
in it?
and their number one demon in climate change is
It's-
carbon dioxide, and they have no fucking clue what they're talking about or what they're doing.
I
None.
actually asked
The
a
ocean
young
will
girl that age.
rise 1/100th of 1% over the next 300 fucking years.
Thank you, Mr. President. What are you going to say,
That
Kelly?
was very.
I kind of lost it.
That was on Kevin
I asked
Costner
a
like.
kid the other day what trees live off of, and she couldn't answer that. And I'm thinking,
Water.
no, it's
Well,
carbon. They live off
carbon-
our CO2.
Here's
right?
the-
Yes.
and not only that, Kelly.
They convert CO2 to oxygen.
Exactly.
Correct. And
We
here's the
already
thing.
symbiosis.
Do you know that higher CO2 content? This is what I learned from listening to that report.
Yeah.
On this whole scientific report, is that higher CO2 levels are actually a drought protective. That you can have drought-like conditions, but if you have high enough CO2 levels, it will not affect the plant life. It will not cause your crops to fail.
Well, sure, because that makes perfect sense if you think about it. Because it's food. Carbon dioxide is food
Absolutely, absolutely.
to a plant.
Well, I
it
know of this.
Can't survive without it.
I know of it, and I was even asking Vince if he'd ever heard of it in the cannabis industry.
Nope.
What was that? Cannabis?
I've never heard of
Cannabis.
it, but I'm sure
Cannabis.
it's happening somewhere.
Cannabis.
But I know this. I know it recalled when I was listening to the report. It recalled back to me. I know of growers, plant growers, where they have pumped in more CO2 and doubled the atmospheric pressure and had,
Yeah, the craziest thing.
volleyball-sized tomatoes, and
The
just
craziest
crazy
thing was they said people were walking around in there just fine
with the higher
and
CO2
had
levels.
no symptoms of
History.
anything.
Science shows that CO2 levels are way higher
You-
a long time
Yeah,
ago.
everything
Exactly.
used to be
That was
a
part
of the
lot bigger
article,
than
too.
it is
Yeah,
now.
that's why we had giant lizards and we had giant trees.
I
Correct.
always wanted to ask a liberal to explain Noah, the Ark, and the flood.
Am I playing the liberal?
That
Yes.
didn't happen.
Explain.
Who cares about some guy on his toy boat?
Jetty 621 says that
That's racist.
They need to ban their private jet. We need to ban
His
their private
family was
jets.
white.
Yeah.
That's racist.
Oh, that's right.
He did them 2x2.
That was a fallacy. That was a myth that didn't
Some
exist.
of
They
them-
were all white
Some of them,
animals.
sometimes there was 5 or 6 or 7.
Come on. The only part of the Bible that we take literally nowadays is given to Caesar what is Caesar's, okay?
Yeah.
Honor that. There's Romans 13
Ain't that
and,
the
and what
truth?
Jesus said given to Caesar. That's the only part that we take literally. Everything else
Right.
is.
Well, I
is
remember I
subject
was in
to-
Sunday school, and
You remember a lot, apparently.
yeah. We were in Sunday school, and somebody asked who said all the world should be taxed. So I said Bill Clinton.
Yeah, we need to
How
tax
old
them.
were you in Sunday school, or was this just recently? Larry?
43.
So it was not recently.
It was, Well, I was wondering if it was when
I was
younger.
actually one of the teachers
Oh.
in the Sunday school class.
Did you set
Good.
yourself up?
Yeah, well, somebody else set me up. Then they got mad at me afterwards. Said, "What did you do that for?" I said, "It was funny. Every kid in the class laughed."
That's right.
Right?
I said, "You got to make learning fun."
Yep.
This is true.
You got to let them. You got to draw it out of them.
Yeah.
You can't put it in them and pound it in and expect them to get it. You got to draw it out of them.
Yeah.
Learning
Well,
should be fun.
It should be fun, but that's why a lot of us didn't give two shits about school because they did not I struggle with math. I was a C average math student, okay? I graduated high school, went into carpentry, and all of a sudden I'm using Pythagorean theorem.
Wait a minute.
Doing freaking trigonometry.
Jesus was a carpenter.
What does that have to do with it? No, he wasn't. That's a you know that's a common fallacy in church. They go, "Oh, Jesus was a carpenter." No, it literally never.
Well, he
says,
wasn't a truck driver.
It literally never says in the text that Jesus was a carpenter.
And Mary Magdalene
It says
was a sugar
He
mama.
was a carpenter's son.
carpenter's son,
That's correct.
and they assume he must have been a carpenter. I'm like, well, then where is it at in the text? Anyways, that's beside the point. My whole point is,
Good point. I never thought about it. So good point. I knew the answer, though.
I went into carpentry, and all of a sudden I'm using Pythagorean theorem, hypotenuse of a right triangle. I'm using all of these formulas that were given to me, but they were given to me in a shit way, so that I didn't get it. And now all of a sudden I was relearning it, and I literally were on a job site the last 2 days, and I literally looked over and I said, "Hey, do I gotta throw some algebra on this shit?" Because we use so 3, 4, 5 is a method we use all the time, and I said on the job site, we're with helping James and his crew, and I said, "You teach your boys 3, 4, 5," and all of them went, "Yeah." I'm like, okay. So if you take 3 foot by 4 foot, and you go from that 4 foot point to that point, that has to be an exact square triangle, and that's how you can start to square up your building, square up a house when you're working on it. The other one is where you use. We call it, we crisscross. So if you have 30 feet, 50 feet, 30 feet, and 50 feet, the diagonal measurements from corner to corner, if it's square, have to match. Well, here's what a lot of people don't know, is that if you give me the 30 feet and the 50 feet, I'll tell you, I'll punch into my calculator, and within 2 minutes, I'll tell you, or not even 2 minutes, I'll punch it in, and I'll tell you what that diagonal number has to be square. So I don't have to have all 4 sides in place. I did it today.
And yesterday.
I'm the same way. I dropped out of high school, and
Right.
I lived in a car and on the streets, and now I run a business, and I own my own place, and algebra makes sense to me. Fractions and geometry makes sense to me.
Exactly, and then but you realize, you go, wait a minute, this was not given to me in a practical way and where I could use it. This was given to me in an abstract way. One thing they do, they teach you basic math.
My problem was they just muddied everything down so fucking much.
Well, and I think practical use is so important.
Like they
if you
just
had
dumped molasses over everything.
Yeah, if you had a school that gave you practical use, just like you were talking about, okay, here guys, I want you to build a birdhouse. I'm going to show you how in math this works if you can get your angles, and help them with a practical.
Yeah.
They're practicing as they're going.
Yep.
I can guarantee you that they will love it.
I always had really good grades in science because we did projects all the
That's
time.
what I was running on when I was running for school board. Was I wanted trades brought in for practical application, and so
Yes.
kids could get. We're back on kids.
Yes.
Can get to
Yeah.
where they want to go a little faster than having to go through an indoctrination camp of college.
Right, that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the
Well, and they used to do that. There used to be my dad's school in Ironwood. They had everything. It was like state of the art school, and they had machine shops. They would build dressers. They would build furniture. They had the workshops. If it was metal, if it was wood, if it was whatever. I mean, it was state of the art, and these boys came out with skills.
They came out, that school was so phenomenal. So when I had wood shop or machine shop in high school, okay, we built shit, but it was our own shit. There was no thing. They literally in Ironwood, when my grandfather was going through school, they built machines for the mines that the mine workers used. They forged them in the schools. Mm-hmm. They built all sorts of equipment for them that they then used in the field. I never got to do that.
No.
That would have been fucking phenomenal.
And I think rebuild engines when I was in high school.
Yeah, I think that's what
love
we
that.
needed to do. I mean, for me, I got to sew. I learned how to use a sewing machine and make stuff. But, the bottom line is practical use is important. And if we don't teach our kids practical use, right now everything is computerized. And I would hate to see the computer world fall and these kids go.
Jackson ISD was just closed for a week, and it affected the community colleges, the whole county of Jackson, Hillsdale, Grass Lake. They were shut down for a week because everything was tied. Heat, alarm systems.
Right.
Because they got cyber hacked by a virus that literally was ransomware. So anybody that got into their computer from their home computer, that ransomware went into their home computer.
Wow.
It shut down an entire county school system because they were all so dependent on tech, on AI.
And where was the
Yes.
10-year-old? Go ahead, Nate.
In Caro, we have. Oh God, that's real hot.
Not too bad.
Nate, you're hot.
It's not hot for us, buddy.
Fix it.
The Amazing Asian is hot.
Right?
Go ahead, Asian.
In Caro, we have the tech center,
Still a little hot.
which is just as you guys are stating, it's something that allows once you get into high school, you can go to. It's pretty much a trade school.
We have
I
one of
went-
those here in Brighton.
I went for law.
In the tech school.
For law enforcement, so I learned how to literally be out a cop.
Yeah.
You know, I object. Nate does not sound like an Asian.
It's because he's from Saginaw.
He's from Saginaw.
Put a little
dude.
Asian on it, Nate.
I can put Asian on it.
He put a very Asian on it.
You won't go there. I gotta give him some
We-
cookies.
oh,
We
oh,
have a new
Nate, you're getting cookies, bro.
we have a new tech
Ooh.
school in Brighton that is Christian based.
Thank you, Grandma.
His name is Mike. I can't remember his last name right this second.
Okay.
But he is right on Grand River, down on your way out of town, headed towards Novi. And last year, a trade school for kids in our community, people in our community. And I think it's a Christian-based one. But when I was talking to him, I said, if I get on the school board, I'd love to figure out how to work this out. Now
Yeah,
I can't.
incorporate.
But he also needs teachers. He needs people in the industry that are willing to give their time to teach
Right.
these kids too.
I'd be willing to do that. When I was at
Thank you.
Does he want to?
two fingers, Tanya, please, just two. When I was at I worked at Teen Ranch over in Marlette for almost a year, and they at a certain point had this little carpentry thing, and teaching the kids. And I walked in there and I was like, can I help? Because I was a night shift guy. And after being there about 6 months, they shifted me to day shift. So all of a sudden, I'm being exposed to what they're teaching the kids, and it was all on campus because these are felons, either small time or big time, but juvenile felons. And I'm watching them trying to teach these kids carpentry, and I'm like, they're trying to drive regular framing nails with trim hammers and all sorts, and using all sorts. And I'm like,
Where's your waffle?
and I'm like, dude,
Do you know how to toenail?
I think they let me help out.
That'd be
one
my first
day,
lesson, the toenail.
and they were like, they literally, one of the higher ups came to me and he said, we know you know carpentry and you build houses and did stuff like that. He said, these kids are probably never going to take so we're offering it to them. And if we find one kid that has an aptitude for it, we'd gladly teach them. But it's something that was kind of a state.
It was going through the motions.
It was going through the motions, and I went, well, then what the hell are we doing?
Well,
And it
the
was-
state the way it works is school to prison, right? That's kind of the
Oh, yeah.
transition
They'll
they want
absolutely-
us in.
Yeah, they'll absolutely tell you that that the school system is prison training.
Or the
Prison
factory.
to prison.
The factory or the prison.
When they started including yellow lines in our schools, that's when you knew it was prison training. Which is funny to me because they don't. You have to go to private schools to have the uniforms, which you would think in a public school that would be, another form of their prison training. Anyways, we lost kids a long time ago when the Carnegies came in and bought the libraries and started buying up the school books and coerced our education, removed our true history, and began to shape the narrative and took kids from learning. I mean, when you had one-room schoolhouses, you had kids of all ages in there, and the older kids helped the younger kids to learn, and it taught.
And what they learned.
And the young.
It was practical.
Right.
Tie a shoe, okay? You know how to tie a shoe? Teach the little guy how to tie a shoe. These
Yeah.
are practical things that they need.
And what the older kids when they were teaching the younger kids, being teachers' aides that we would call them nowadays, they learned so much because now they're passing on the information, and they didn't do it as rote. They had to work through the information they're then passing on so that it was understandable to the younger kids. So they learned not just what they originally learned, but they learned then the mechanisms of it and how to pass it on and how to work through what it took to pass that information on, you know, and we just don't have that anymore. We've got kids that are segregated. You know, if you're a freshman or a sophomore or a junior in high school, there is so much. We teach so much classism in our schools instead of. I mean, the only time we come together is that during that tribalism. You know, it's only if the kid's a phenomenal freshman athlete, he can be put on the senior team and be, you know, excel in that. But at every other point, they are. I remember walking through my high school as a kid, with my jersey on, you know, my football jersey, and because I was wearing my football jersey,
You got status.
we had status, and we were no longer an underclassman. We had status as football players, you know. And so there's the only time we remove that overt classism and class envy and hierarchy is during those sporting events, because then that pushes another tribalistic mentality, and we've got to have that ingrained so that we can then indoctrinate them into groups like this sunrise
hive
bullshit.
mind.
Yeah, the hive mind, and get them indoctrinated in that. You know, because you're never going to remove. I mean, it's funny. Our one buddy Mark that comes on sometimes. His boy was in football this past year, and I jokingly said, yeah, did they do the participation bullshit? And he says, yeah. And I looked over at Grant, and I'm like, so who won? He's like, we did. And he rattled off the score, and I'm like, of course you did, you know. And Mark knew, you know, but that's their mentality is, oh, we're just not going to keep score until they reach a certain age. I don't care what you do. Those kids know exactly who fucking won and who
It's
didn't.
bred in us. I mean, to be competitive,
Exactly.
to always try to
And
get
there's
better.
nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it. If you don't have resistance and opposition, you don't push back and try to excel.
You don't
Right.
move forward. Yes.
Right. Why would?
Yeah, what's the point? You might as well just stay where you're at.
Well, it's the egg. It's always the egg, okay? If you take an
Why
egg,
do that when you can just teach them all how to cheat?
if a chicken is
Ooh,
ready,
that's
if a
great.
chicken's ready to hatch out of the egg, and you see that pokes a little hole, and then you break it out of the shell, it dies. You have to allow it to struggle and push through, because then it develops the skills that it needs, the strength that it needs to then endure life. If you break it out of its shell, thinking you're helping, you're killing it. And that's what happens with our kids. Is we don't push them to be mature, well ahead of what society says. We don't empower them to be response able with the things of life. Just like you know, teaching your kids. My mom, I could do my own laundry at 8. I could cook my own meals. We do it with Bubby. We make him, you know, we do. It's like, oh, that boy can put ramen noodles on right now. He can put something in a microwave. He could do all sorts of stuff right now, you know.
Yeah, when he stays with me, he gets up and does the dishes with me. He has a choice, wash or dry.
Right.
It's a choice, you know.
It's gotta be done.
He likes to wash because he gets to swirl in the water, which I've never seen a child who didn't.
Right.
You know, but you learn. You know what? We ate. We made dishes. We had a great meal. But there's then the next step is to clean up after ourselves.
Right.
And I think a lot of kids are having it done for them.
Oh, the amount of 20-some-odd-year-olds I had to teach how to use a broom,
Mm-hmm.
how to rinse a dish, how to start a load of laundry. When I worked at a salon, I was one of the higher-up stylists. I was an educator there. I would get these mid-20-year-olds coming in. They don't know how to sweep. They don't know how to rinse a bowl. They don't know how to wash a dish. They don't know how to start a laundry at all.
And they kind of look at you like what are you asking
But they
me?
knew how to be a stylist.
They went through cosmetology school and managed to get a license, yes.
And cosmetology school didn't tell them the basics of sweeping the fucking floor
Depending
after a
on
client.
which cosmetology school they went to,
Yeah.
no. And some of these girls were just assistants. Like, they'd come in and they'd be front desk, so they're like
Oh,
17,
right.
18. But some of the 20-year-olds came in too. And the hardest thing in the world
Thank you.
is to go to your boss and say, I am too busy to be babysitting these 20-year-olds.
Yes.
And have your boss hand you a book and say, I think you should read this. How to Work with Millennials.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, hell no.
Do you still have that book?
Water, please? Yes. Thank you.
Really?
Do you still have that book?
I gave her back the book. I was like, no, I'm leaving.
I would have been
I
How to
would
work
have
with
taken
millennials.
it.
There's actually a
shown
book
them
on it.
how
I'm
to
ra- I'm
build a
raising-
fire with a stupid fucking book.
I'm raising a millennial. I don't need to know how to work with millennials. You know,
How to work with millennials. Wait, where's
So
the book that
it's-
says
so
how to teach
there-
millennials how
What
to work?
age group are millennials?
How to figure out which privileges they have over top of you.
millennials are kids that are born 1999 to 2010.
2010.
And then you got your Gen Zs and Gen X or Gen Ys.
Gen Y.
Why is the question?
Yeah.
Let's get
The
back
next
to
one will be Gen XY.
I was 93.
Larry. That
Gen
would
women?
be XY would be
Or
a
XXYY.
no. There are more genders now. We found Z and H in there somewhere.
There's no
somehow.
let me
X or
have
Y
a
is not
cookie
in the
here.
alphabet anymore.
So the logical fallacy
It's
for
racist.
it is racist.
Right.
The logical fallacy for tonight is the complex question.
The fallacy, the fallacy of demanding a direct answer to a question that cannot be answered without first analyzing or challenging the basis of the question itself. I have to read that again, guys.
Please.
The complex question, the fallacy of demanding a direct answer to a question that cannot be answered without first analyzing or challenging the basis of the question itself. Oh, you need to explain that, puppy.
Well, I watched this during the debate with Slutkin and
With who?
Slutkin.
Slotskin?
Slutkin. Illicit Slutkin.
Jabba.
Yeah. Illicit Slutkin with her. I know she did her hair on purpose. She wears her hair on purpose. So she can
Doesn't
flick
she
it
look like she? Doesn't she look like she works at Jiffy Lube?
Probably. Probably. But when she was debating with Tom Barrett, she kept just going after him. You can't just answer the question, can you? You just can't answer the question. He's like, it's a nuanced question. There's dynamics to the question. You can't just. She said, no, it's no. I need an answer right now. She was the poster child for me for that. But we also do it as political purists. A lot of times is we demand this one answer straightforward and we don't dive into the history of a person. And again, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm encountering more and more people that are just as nuanced as us and don't gravitate towards a strict label to pacify people. They would rather have a conversation. I mean, we're Republican delegates. Okay.
I'm not a Republican.
I disavowed the Republican moniker 20 years ago. All right. But at the same time, I believe the majority of the original the original Tea Party platform when it came out, I embraced the absolute 95, 98% of what they were talking about. Never identified myself as a Tea Party member. Okay. I have talked about how I feel more like a libertarian. I don't present myself as a libertarian. Okay. I absolutely love the America First as we understand it moniker or what entails under that moniker. Okay. What Joe put out.
Which ultimately means we the people first.
Correct. Right. And it's an easy label to throw out there because it's America First. Right. But what we're dealing with is that the vast majority of the left come at these complex question fallacies, and they want these simple. You don't listen. There's fentanyl coming across the border. There are child sex slaves coming across the border. There are women being sex trafficked across the border, and so we need to shut the border. So you don't like immigrants? No, it's a complex answer to this.
Well, yes or no.
You just don't like dark people.
You just don't like dark people.
Yes or no, you're racist.
Well, the same people in this county target a Hispanic woman constantly.
Right.
Constantly.
That's what I'm saying is the left is guilty of this 80 to 90% of the time, where they're coming at it and saying, well, you just don't like Latinos. No. Well, you just don't like immigrants. No.
Or you just don't like strong women.
We don't like
You just don't
illegal
like
immigration
understanding
and those who
anything.
are exploiting illegal immigration. They're making billions of dollars doing it. They're being funded by NGOs, non-governmental entities. George Soros being one of the big backers of that. I mean, these people are coming across the border not destitute and broken down. They're being raped and exploited and coming across with credit cards preloaded and cell phones in their pocket that they were given.
And being driven to whatever state
Be-
they desire.
Exactly. So I'm looking at this and I go, I want to caution the conservatives out there, the independent-minded people. Let's not fall into this fallacy ourselves, where we start to become overly
blue?
divisive because we don't get
Do you have
these
blue?
single.
You gotta pick another one.
She's good. She's fine. She's new.
Oh, you got the same exact color.
Oh, you got the same blue?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you got, Mom? Purple? Oh,
I
she
got
took the
purple.
Oh.
Just because our signature
That's
will be the
aqua.
same
Is that
exact color.
aqua?
So.
Is that like
It's
aqua?
my son's favorite color.
There, well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Teal?
Larry, what do you
It's
got?
like a turquoise,
Turquoise.
teal.
Turquoise?
Yeah.
Turquoise.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Is that yours?
It's good. It's good.
My
No, I'm gonna
office
go with it. I'm gonna go with.
Oh,
you know
Larry's
what?
got
By the way,
red.
since you
earrings
brought
I
up
made you.
since you brought up liberal
Those earrings
Alyssa
I made you?
Slotkin,
Slutkin?
yeah, you know what I've
earrings?
learned about her in
What?
the in the past 6 years?
That it must be party before country. Always. Always.
CIA.
Who said what now?
What?
She was just saying that, explaining.
Come on,
I
guys.
tell
But the
everybody-
one
She wasn't like that.
The
I
one
ever-
thing I have learned about liberal Alyssa Slotkin in the past 6 years
Yeah.
is that ballpark Franks are not the only thing in her family that plump.
Wow, Larry, that's like a personal attack.
Are you saying she didn't even chew it?
What are you talking about? I'm confused.
Alyssa Slotkin's family owns high grade
Ballpark.
foods.
Oh, high grade foods.
Yeah, her dad is Alyssa Slotkin's dad was Ballpark Franks. He brought Ballpark Franks to Detroit Stadium.
All right, so I have
Tiger Stadium.
So,
context.
Wait a
so
second.
that's why I had to.
So
that's why I had
So
to,
that's what I mean. It's but
that's why the hot
Ballpark
dogs
Franks
cost
are, yeah.
$85 at the ball at the
$8.50 a
game.
dog.
$8.50 a dog at the game. Okay, so we're looking at this. We're going to keep this in mind. We're America First theme tonight. Why can't we fucking work together? Is our Anglo-Saxon complex question. We can't. We have to be more nuanced and more. We have to develop relationships. Two liberals end up in a room together, see a billboard or see something on the wall, agree to it, and then march together, no questions asked. Okay? Two independent-minded conservatives walk into a room, and they will find 1% that they disagree on and refuse to walk together. And that's got to stop. That doesn't mean we have to compromise and agree with everything, but we have to understand that there's more commonality. Is that the right word? There's more common ground that we can find, that we can come together on, that we have to come together on, because if the independent-minded, conservative people in this country don't find that 80 to 90% of common ground that we agree on, and walk down the street together and tell our politicians and these corporations to go fuck themselves, and we're taking back our country in the name of freedom. It took 3% to fight the Revolutionary War, and yet we just lost Michigan. How the fuck did we lose our country, or our state, let alone vast majorities of the country? Because we can't come together enough. What did you have to say, Kelly?
Well, the other side has come together with the rhinos on our side really, really well. That's how
Absolutely.
we lost it.
Well, they spent
That's the answer.
$1.2 million to defeat Mike, who had
$20,000
in the coffers
For a primary.
for a primary.
Primary.
I was part of that.
And then I listened to Jason Wolford on Saturday.
Sickening, isn't it?
Won the primary.
Yes.
Okay. Goes into the general and the Republican Party did not give him a single dime.
Nothing.
And he lost by 3,500 votes.
3,500 votes.
That came in after midnight.
They came in after midnight. They
Out of
were
how many
registering
total?
voters. About 3,500, and they were registering voters after 8 p.m.
After 8 p.m.
Until
Now-
6 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
they were counting
Now, the way the
ballots.
law is written, right, the way Michigan law is written, if you're in line to vote at 8 o'clock, they must let you vote.
That's
To
right.
vote.
So if that line is 3 hours long and you're in line at 7:59, you get to vote.
Right.
But if you're not registered, you don't get to vote.
But that's what they did. is
Yeah.
They did
But
register
that's what
them.
they did. They did register them. But
Yeah.
you got to understand something in Michigan. We've lost the courts. We just lost the legislature, and Satan's sisters just got reelected.
We really need to get out of this we lost mindset. We didn't lose anything. They took it from us.
yeah.
That's the difference.
Correct.
And what the bridge that we need to focus on is they took it.
Right.
Not that we lost anything. 'Cause
They
we didn't-
stole it.
This is.
Well, it's not even that they stole it. They gave it away.
They don't care about us.
They are right. They are
Speaking of that,
complicit
before
with
we get-
losing.
we-
They're
it's a
comfortable
death
losing.
call.
It's a death call.
They're in it.
Speaking of that, before we get too deep into how we feel about the election, YouTube and anybody that's over there can piss off.
Oh, are you leaving YouTube?
I'm leaving YouTube.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that.
Fuck you if you don't like
Fuck
it.
you if you don't like it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time for them to go over to
and,